Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we are watching a video by the German channel Deutsche Welle, DW, the YouTube channel that they post some of their news content onto, where they are discussing the partial legalization of cannabis in Germany. Okay, very significant. Germany was a very conservative country. Germany was a very you know, robust country where the penalty for drug use was very very hard. Now that they're legalizing it, you have to wonder what has changed in society, what has changed in the world for them to legalize it. Okay, there are many people who advocate for marijuana use that is not that bad. America has legalized marijuana in many states, and it reduces drug trafficking. It reduces the punishment for people using those drugs. Joe Rogan is a famous advocate for the legalization of marijuana. um you know why now? Why is it? Well, a big thing is they know that people need, there are some people who want to smoke, who will never be stopped to smoke, and they are trying to capitalize on and profit from the use of marijuana. Who are they? You know, Governments. There will be a certain tax levy. However, it doesn't end all crime around and drug trafficking around those things, because once you legalize it, same with alcohol, is the tax on those substances increases the price of it, and of the product of cannabis. And by increasing the price, it opens a black market for illegal marijuana to still be sold in those countries. Okay, another big thing is where are we headed? AI is upon us. AI will displace most of humanity. Most of humanity will be redundant and jobless. Most of humanity will be left to fend for themselves. They'll be left to fend and live off of government handouts, universal basic income, and they'll be living miserable lives. And marijuana is a very safe way to sedate yourself, a very safe way to numb yourself. The consequences, the impact on your health, apart from, I think, your lung health. Marijuana is actually much safer than alcohol, and has different types of medicinal usage. Marijuana, but also can trigger many psychoses. If you already have an underlying health condition, if you're already an anxious person, marijuana can actually make it worse. Which, the science is there to back this up, and it's like, well, do the people in charge, do the governments want you in a state of kind of numbness, sedated, yet internally your mind is very anxious and paranoid? Okay, are they trying to trigger psychosis on purpose? But let's get into the video. Let's see what they are talking about.
Here in Germany, a new law partially legalizing cannabis has come into effect. At midnight, hundreds gathered in central Berlin to celebrate the moment.
And yeah, and now it's becoming legalized, and they're showing this video of this guy dancing, having a joint, and it's all like, oh yeah, look, we finally, we've legalized it. It's time to party. It's time to be happy. And it's like, if you go to places that have legalized marijuana, for example, I believe Portugal and Lisbon. I went to Lisbon a couple of years ago. In Portugal, they have legalized marijuana and cannabis, and it's actually one of the most depressing places in the world. The people are lovely, right? However, there is an underlying that the youth, aren't making money, that they don't have many job prospects in that country, and it has this underlying tone of hopelessness. And the image that they used there was of Berlin. And again, Berlin, obviously what happened during the DDR, before the wall fell, when they were part of East Germany, that the whole city still feels like there's some sort of hopelessness to it. Very many creatives live there because it's cheap to live. Do you get what I mean? But there does seem like an underlying anti-establishment feel to it. Okay, and the other thing is, by legalizing it, right, weed, sorry, just on that point, let's go back to Amsterdam, for example, has legalized weed, and Dutch people are very lovely. Dutch people are very industrious, easygoing. They're very good and friendly people. But the city it kind of feels like a shithole. Do you get what I mean? And you know, it's got all these lovely canals, but it's like there's graffiti fucking everywhere. They obviously have their red light district. Everything's kind of controlled. It's like a controlled seediness to it, which is kind of cool if you're in your early 20s. But do you want to raise children in that environment? Do you get what I mean? Like when you become a teenager, when you're like 14, 15, you want to go out and explore the world. And that's when you start normally smoking a little bit of weed. You start doing some naughty things in life, trying to just see and expand and see what the world is about. There was something cool about when you were at school smoking weed, knowing it was illegal, right? You're doing something that you're not supposed to do, and there was you're kind of growing a little bit of character, but having a little bit of risk. Now, I'm not saying that smoking weed makes you cool, but it's like you're doing something that you're not supposed to do, and your school, your parents, everybody's told you not to do it, and then you doing it is a big fuck you to the establishment. Okay, and as you grow up, you're supposed to test boundaries. You're supposed to do it, and with weed, it was a good way to kind of do it. Do I think you should go to jail for carrying weed, for smoking weed? No, I don't think so. But there was and people looked at you different if they knew that you smoked weed, like at school, especially. Do you go, I mean, when you're like 14, 15, they're like, oh my god, that person smokes marijuana. Oh my god, what bad boy. And it's like, when you grow up, it seems silly, but at the time, it helps you take risks. It help you in a safe kind of way. Obviously, if you fucking become addicted to that shit, then you just like, don't wish that upon anyone, but you're pretty fucked. In general, weed is not very addictive. It's more the sedation that people get addicted to, that they don't want to face reality. But by legalizing it, you're taking away that risk, and I guess you get better quality weed. People do it in a more controlled fashion, but I'm sure you're gonna have to be 18, 20 years old to get hold of it. So I guess if you're young, there's still a backdoor way, an illegal market for it. So I don't know, but it kind of, I think you have the governments readying a whole generation to be sedated in a legal way. It's like an encouragement, whereas when it was illegal, it was discouraged. And you try it, you move on, you grow up, whatever. Yeah, but now America is full of 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds just like smoking weed and just sedating themselves, right? And like, if you're a weed head in your 40s, it's like it's not cool. I mean, Joe Rogan could do it. Joe Rogan's a fucking multimillionaire in it. So don't give me the example of Joe Rogan's a functioning, pothead. But I'm just talking about, like, if you haven't, if you're lazy, you're not industrious, and you're still smoking weed, it's like, what the fuck you're doing? It's like, you need to sort your life out.
Under the legislation, over 18s can now possess up to 25 grams in public for personal use and cultivate up to 3.
I mean, they look like they're having fun, but also there's something like sad about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, okay, like I don't know, how old are they? That guy looks like he's in 40s at least.
Plants at home. But the legislation has its critics who point.
Wir wollen keine Straftäter. We don't want to be lawbreakers. I believe that's what it says.
To health and law and order concerns. Germany's conservative opposition says they'll revoke the law if they come to power.
Yeah, because if you bring down the moral fibers of society, it's like you're encouraging people to be degenerates. It's like a little bit of alcohol. Again, you need to think, like, what sort of society does this breed? Okay, like the most people who will smoke weed will be younger. They'll be in their 20s, and that's when you're supposed to be the most industrious. Your mind needs to be sharp. We need to be discouraging binge drinking. We need to be discouraging people to be sedated, and because life is getting more and more difficult, people are choosing the easy way out. They're sedating themselves. They're not facing reality, and the reality that we have up ahead is very bleak and very meek. It is very dystopian in some sense. Most people don't understand what is going to happen in the future. Most people can't see the laws that are coming into effect that will strip most people of the freedoms of the personality, and trigger much, much worse anxiety than you've ever imagined. Okay.
Weed smokers in Germany are lighting up legally for the first time from April 1st. Many are celebrating.
You know the pictures? When cows are allowed out to pasture for the first time after winter, they jump with joy, and of course that.
I mean, this guy, come on, man, like, cut your hair, right? Trim your beard a little bit, like you can have your long hair and your beard, but like, you don't need to look like you just walked out of a fucking bush. Do you
will
know what I
be
mean?
us at the beginning of April.
Like there's a way to have that look and look like you had a shower in the morning. Do you get what I mean? It's like, if you want to have a long beard, have a fucking long beard. But there's a way to upkeep it. There's a way to look after it and not look like you haven't showered in 3 weeks. Like, do you get what I mean?
The new cannabis measures are only a partial legalization. So what do they mean exactly? Adults over 18 in Germany are now allowed to carry up to 25 grams of cannabis on them. They can smoke weed in public, but not within 100 meters of schools, sports facilities, or playgrounds. People can also grow up to 3 plants at home and store up to 50 grams of cannabis for personal use. For now, there won't be any shops selling it directly to customers. The only way to buy weed legally will be through a so-called Cannabis Social Club membership, but only from July 1st.
Social clubs can have up to 500 members, and they all act.
A fucking social club? What's going on in Germany? What is the last time they tried a social club? It kind of spiraled a little bit, didn't it? Right? What was it? The National Social Party of German Workers. Now they have the National Party of German Weed Smokers. I guess they won't be as dangerous. They'll be a little bit more mellower, I guess. I mean, they probably looked at that and were like, "Do you know what I mean? We don't want an uprising here." Last time we tried a social club, a national social club. What happened? Of course, I am joking. You have to understand that they're trying to control you even with this. That they're nationalizing it, but then they're keeping a register of who and is smoking it, who is part of these social clubs. They're keeping tabs and an eye on you. I'm sure pretty soon they'll be dispensing marijuana through these social clubs, and then you have to have an app, and then they'll track how much you're buying, and then they're like, how can we? But they'll get you addicted to a point that's like where you if you don't comply, it will take away your fucking membership to your weed club.
Actively participate in the cannabis production. For each individual member, the club can grow up to 3 plants and can thus produce a member's monthly supply, which is a maximum of 50 grams, and then give it to the member.
In Berlin, people hope the new law will reduce the illegal market for the drug.
I think legalization is a good idea in general because it decreases the black market, which is essential.
And that is how they market it to you. It's like, oh, it reduces the black market, right? Well, in America, even though weed's legalized, you can buy it from dispensaries. There's still a black market for it because the poorest in society can't afford it. Okay, the taxes on those drugs are still very high, and people misuse it. So you can never ever eradicate a total black market. There'll be a black market trying to sell it to children as well. It's like, so but what makes it harder is if you now smell of marijuana, it's like the police won't stop you. You might have a fucking 2-3 ounces in your bag. Do you know what I mean? But you're like, oh no, I'm only carrying a little bit. You look like a cheerful, happy-go-lucky weed smoker, and then in the fucking park, you're selling it to fucking children, like a dirty piece of shit. Do you get what I mean? So I don't know. It's to me, it looks like it's more all about sedating the German population. Is for them to easily accept the troubles that are ahead.
The problem because people are buying stuff that they don't know what's in it.
It's better to regulate it, the whole process, than just have a super huge black market.
While many in Germany are celebrating, some have raised concerns about the legalization. While police unions say it will be hard to enforce regulations, checks, and penalties, Doctors are worried that the new law sends the wrong message and plays down the dangers of cannabis use and addiction.
I'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure smoking that much cannabis does have a detrimental effect on your lungs. Do you know what I mean? And people, they will abuse it. People abuse alcohol, and alcohol is safe. People drink and drive. People will smoke and drive. When you smoke, you're a lot slower in your movement. You're slower in your reaction time, and it's like, do we want these people out there driving cars? What are the legislations? What are the regulations on that subject?
Welcome Bernd Wesse, the co-founder of the Center for Drug Research at Goethe University in Frankfurt, which has been tracking this legalization process. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I'd like to start with your thoughts on this new law. Do you think it does indeed play down the dangers of cannabis use and addiction, as we just heard some doctors are saying?
Well, we have seen in other countries where they had liberalizing or even legalizing laws that it didn't come into effect. At best, older people tended to smoke more, but not younger people. So all these concerns about young people smoking more and sending the wrong message and so on.
I think it does. It does send the wrong message, because it's like, oh, this thing's allowed, so therefore you're allowed to do it. And if you are building a society where most people feel hopeless, they will turn to vices to numb their pain. Okay, we have an ever growing epidemic of loneliness, and ever growing epidemic of depression and anxiety. We are, if you look at young people, they have never been more anxious than they are currently. Suicide numbers are up. People feel deflated about their future prospects, about the future of the economy, their future lives. And once you breed such a hopeless society, a hopeless generation, they will turn to drugs, which now the government is saying you are allowed to use. If like self-help content is massive right now, okay, and people are turning towards self-help because things aren't going correct in their lives. Okay, they are trying to advance, they're trying to get better, they're trying to better their lives. And a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm addicted to porn, I'm addicted to I have no discipline, I have no willpower, I'm addicted to weed, I'm addicted to video games. Things like dopamine detox wasn't a thing like a few years ago. Now it's like everywhere on the internet. Okay, dopamine detox this, it's like weed just adds to it. Okay, so it seems like the governments are encouraging vices, things that will lead to people being sedated, not being in control of their own will, having less power and control of their lives, and feeling like they have no agency in their life. Okay, and to me it seems like it is sending the wrong message, because by making these things easily available, it seems like if somebody who's got a problem is using it, that isn't the cause of their problem.
That hasn't been true in other countries, and
Let's forward it a little bit.
Well, I mean, for many people, there's few that will be changed regarding procurement of cannabis. They will get it from people that they know well, from friends, from acquaintances, from.
I mean, he makes it sound like you fucking go around someone's houses like, oh, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Like, we've run out of milk today. Can I borrow an egg? I'm baking cake with an eggs. Oh, but can I grab 3 joints off you? Do you know what I mean? I'm feeling a little bit anxious today, and I haven't had my hit of daily cannabis yet. Like, he's making it sound like it's just like a normal fucking thing. It's like literally, mate, it's not.
Private dealers, but the main thing that has changed is that millions of people are not criminalized anymore. They can smoke in public. They can.
Yeah, I guess the decriminalization of it. Should you go to fucking jail for smoking a bit of weed? Like, I'm like, no, I'm against that. Shall we? I think just set a precedence as like, look, if you hold this much cannabis, if you have like fucking enough to be a dealer, be treated like a dealer, and the law would deal with you properly. If you just smoking a bit of weed in public, if you're not causing a ruckus, turn a blind eye to it. If you're carrying, just a couple of joints for personal use, don't send them to fucking jail. But this active legalization of it, there's ways to deal with it without making it into a big deal, if that makes sense. Okay. Like, yeah, like if you're stopped and searched and there's like 2 joints on you, it's like, yeah, you'll be sent on your way. Nothing will happen. If you're found that you've got half an ounce on you, maybe we'll take it off you. If you have an ounce, that looks like now you're dealing, we'll do an investigation into you. But to be like, oh, we're going to legalize it, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you can be part of a fucking cannabis social club. It's like, I do think that he's sending the wrong message. That there's ways to deal with it without making it such an event, if that makes sense. It is a non-event, right? They're just making a big deal of it. But to me, the worrying thing is for young people who are more likely to self-medicate, because we do live in a society that is ever more anxious, ever more depressed, ever more lonely, and the options to self-medicate, porn, OnlyFans, weed, fast food, junk food, you name it, video games, to drown your sorrows. The metaverse is here, guys. We're all going to be plugged into virtual reality soon. The easy options are just there lined up for you to take, and no wonder many people feel like they have no, as I said before, a sense of agency, a control over their lives, and why depression and loneliness will be the biggest cause of physical health and mental health deterioration in the near future. If you know what I'm talking about, if you understand what is happening, if you want to protect yourself, if you want to build yourself to be a positive role model, positive leader for these people in this world of degeneracy, if you want to be a charismatic leader, rise to the top, live a life of luxury where you are not dependent on marijuana, on your pleasure and happiness, where you are just happy being living life like a king, which was what you are supposed to be, then reach out. Let's see if we can work together. For everybody else, that is it. Thank you, and I will see you later.